Getting our friends together isn't as easy as it used to be. We get it. Life comes at you fast. But trust us, your pals are desperate for a good hang. And when they hear you stock the party with drinks from Drizzly, they'll be banging down your door. Let Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery, take care of the supplies. All you need is an excuse. It doesn't even have to be a good one. It's your dog's birthday. The loquats are finally ripe. Whatever. With Drizzly, you can compare prices on a massive selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered straight to your door, which means you can entice the crew to leave their houses without ever leaving yours. Whatever the occasion, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Today. Must be 21 plus. Not available in all locations. Man, I wish they had Drizzly when I used to play D&D and Riffs. Maybe it's time for me to start again. Thanks, Drizzly.
Breast milk science. It's a thing, and it's our thing. We're By Heart. Our mission is simple. Make the best infant formula in the world. We partnered with breast milk scientists, world-class doctors, and passionate parents to write a new recipe from scratch. And while we put a lot into By Heart, there's a long list of things you won't see on our ingredient list, like corn syrup, soy, or palm oil. Curious if By Heart is right for your baby? New customers can shop the starter pack and get 2 cans for the price of 1 at byheart.com/getstarted. This is a limited time offer. Additional terms and conditions apply.
The podcast playground.
Hooray! Hey! It's my song! Let's sing it! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Come on! It's gonna be fucking awesome! You know the words! It's gonna be fucking awesome! That's it! Sing! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Yeah!
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's me, Jesse Blaze Snider, your friend, the Coolest Geek Alive. How you doing? I am doing all right, I guess. I just I've been going back and forth between California and New York. I got my babies in New York, and I'm trying to spend way more time in New York here, but I was just in California for a month shooting music videos for Dilf USA, my band, who does our cool theme song. It's good. It went really good. We're actually like rushing a music video out before this other music video that we already finished. And that was like a little like exhausting to have to like squeeze in this one video, but it's pretty cool. My girlfriend is editing the footage as we speak for this first video that we're going to put out. It's like a bit of a joke on the SAG strikes that have been going on right now. The song is called Money Ain't Funny, and it's just all about bad business practices and, you know, kind of like how to be more honest with money. And it's weird. It's kind of inspired by that musical Newsies. It's a weird song. It's a punk rock song, and it's all about money. But we're doing this video where we're showing all this footage of the strike going on outside, and then inside they're negotiating, but the negotiation takes all of about 5 minutes, and the rest of the time they're just playing games. So for 148 days, the people who are supposed to be negotiating are just playing Monopoly and playing with Nerf guns and being idiots. It's, you know, because there's so many reasons why I think this is an accurate assessment of things. Unfortunately, the system that we're in is just so corruptible. And once these institutions are set up for a lengthy period of time, the incestuous nature of just business in general and, sort of the self-servingness of people, which tends not to come from people being so self-centered, but more from fear, nerves that they're not going to be able to, well, if I speak up or I don't do it this way, then I'm not going to be able to get work. I'm not going to be able to get paid. So it's, it's really way easier to forgive people than you might imagine. But the reality is these unions and stuff, they get compromised in so many ways very quickly. Most smart people know trusting a group of people is a tricky thing. When people get together in groups, they start to get a little crazy. And, and I really believe in freedom and free will and standing up for people being oppressed in any way, shape, or form. That's why I love these superheroes and fantasy stories and things that show us a more positive future for humanity. But that's not exactly the thing that makes everybody else tick in the world, unfortunately, not always. I think, it's like I said, sometimes people don't feel that they have a choice in the matter. Maybe they would rather be more heroic and giving and care about the community and whatnot. But these systems get corrupted. And then they're not very useful anymore, as I don't think our union has been very useful. I've been in the Actors Union. I'm not anymore. Food Paradise is my show on Discovery Channel, but it's a non-union show. If it was a union show, I'd get paid a lot better for it. A lot of voiceover work for actors isn't union, so I hadn't worked in the union in a long time because I was doing other things. But I have been there. I saw various negotiations at various times. The film studios had the upper hand so obviously, so hardcore in the previous negotiations when we went into new media. New media is like when we were getting YouTube opening up and all these other things, Netflix and anything that was digital, anything that wasn't a traditional film with DVD or VHS release kind of thing, the new media, all the digital media, stuff that would end up online or be going through the interwebs, that was considered like the Wild West. They didn't know. We don't know what's going to happen with new media. New media, we're probably not going to make very much money on it, Napster and all this. It's just like, we'll see what happens. They've been making plenty of money on it, and they just used all of that as an excuse to cut us all out on the deals. I worked as a commercial voiceover actor for many, many, many years, and those are generally the times where I've had to join the union, because I was dealing with all of the union rules. I was a voice of Pizza Hut and GameStop and Cheetos and a number of them. And whenever you would play on network television, it was insane. It was this bonanza. One network TV spot, would, just pay your rent for half the year kind of thing, depending on, with inflation now, that's probably accurate. I remember there was I was the voice of the Burger King chicken in the chicken fries commercials. He was like, maybe you want to be a French fry, man. That's what this one kind of Hispanic sounding guy says to me. And then I'm like, maybe I do want to be a French fry. That commercial, oh my God, every single time it aired, I got paid a bunch at the time, but then they would bring it back, and I would get paid basically the same amount. I think I got paid $20,000, something like that, for the first time it aired, and I got paid another $20,000 the next time it aired. Maybe it was $15,000. I'm not sure, but it was a relatively tiny piece of work, and it was on this network, this huge network. So it was just insane, the paydays for these union deals. And obviously they could afford these union deals yesterday. Obviously they could afford to change my life in these ways with these big checks from it being utilized often, but they don't. They're just constantly trying to pay as little as humanly possible. And because they've made their business model on paying everybody as little as humanly possible, they've had more capital, and that extra money, it's not just sat there. They figured out more things to do. As they figure out how to spend less money here, they have more money to spend here and more money to spend here. So it's just kind of crazy when these actors, or any of these companies go to them, because they're so deep into their no, our whole business model is we don't pay you very much, that it is actually relatively difficult for the underlings who are having to serve the beck and call of the people high up above them to try to rejigger things and try to keep their bosses happy and actually see if they could figure out something. Because the people above, they're not doing anything for the most part. They're just taking the money out of the system. They're hiring the people that they want, and then they're sitting on boards, and they're siphoning money. They're not doing anything. The people who are doing all the things, they're scrambling to make do with what they have, make do with their profits are as the thing. And those other people are taking the money. They're taking the money, and then those business people are like, So we're just constantly dealing with a situation where the only answer is for people to be finagling and making deals behind the scenes. Hey, Fran Drescher, come over my house and let's talk over steaks and drinks and stuff. And Fran's like, oh, no, don't worry. This is good. This is how we get together. And then, yeah, it is how they get together. It's how they get together and they bribe each other and they figure out how to make everything nice for everybody. Everything nice for everybody involved in the thing, except for the people who don't have any power. And this is just the way it is. I mean, across the board, all this stuff, everything that you think is good about having a union for the teachers and having a union for the construction, where all these people, it was good for just a fleeting moment. And then before you knew it, it wasn't good anymore. And it's great. You know, it's like the idea of communism. You know, like the idea of communism as an idea. You know, I've just always said, well, of course, that's not a terrible idea. The idea of communism was like that we take care of everybody, you know, equally. Everybody's taken care of equally. Wonderful, simple idea. Oh, that's nice. Everybody's just like equally taken care of, you know, as long as people are allowed to pursue beyond that being taken care of thing. I think that that's a really positive just thought. Of course, every single time communism has ever been executed anywhere on planet Earth, it's just been corrupted immediately and taken over by the terrible people. And the solid idea at the heart of the thing is never brought to fruition. And the solid idea at the heart of the idea of a union, unfortunately, I don't think it's ever been brought to fruition. And, you know, and this is this terrible situation that we have with these unions and the power that they hold over us. And, you know, these politicians, you know, like the Democratic Party is so up to their elbows in really powerful, rich donors who are pro social change, but it's only in order to get the business choices and the corporate choices that they want. They're exchanging, hey, you oppressed person, I'll be on your side with my money to the Democratic Party. And you political candidates, I'll lift you up, but you got to wash my hands when I'm done, you know, doing this business deal over here. And you have to watch out for me because I'm going to make sure that you get the, you know, the racially oriented and sexual orientation oriented things and stuff that's all about, you know, social engineering kind of stuff. Like we'll help you get all those things that you want against these other people. We'll give you more money than anything. But the whole thing, it's a cheat. They're just giving us one thing that we want and over-empowering us in that one area. And this is why it's gotten so extreme, because they've put so much money and put so much effort into a certain area of things. But these things don't actually benefit the world, don't actually benefit the country as a whole. There's sort of these weird small minority, like let's help this person and this like we need to be helping the group. The whole group is falling apart. You know, people are way too quick to think like, oh, like those white people will be okay. Like that's really silly. You know, there's for forever, you know, the plenty of the people in this country who are very poor are white. You know, it's all of us. You know, the right wing and the left wing belong to the same bird. We can't lose a wing. We'll crash, you know. We really do need each other. And we're spread out in so many more ways than you imagine, and different jobs and different families in different states. And it's just, things are always so much different and more nuanced than the black and white Census Bureau can make it. There's just no other way to say it. Things are nuanced. We live in this nuanced world. And if we're not careful, we run away with just silly ideas about what the population is. And then we end up really trusting things that we shouldn't. And distrusting things that we shouldn't. You know, it's just we get all misaligned. All of this that has been going on with these companies during the streaming wars, they've been given so much money, and because of their business model, the money wasn't allotted to any of these other places. You know, it's not set up to like go back to the people who make the stuff. It's set up to go to the corporation in some fashion and help them propagate themselves in some way and expand, or to just go straight to the people who are on top, taking all of the money out of the system. It's funny. I feel like I should totally like retitle my episode now a little bit, or like add something into it about it. But there is some nutty things that are going on right now in the entertainment business. I mean, it's just insane. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like kind of compile all of the shit for this Wednesday's episode, so I can go through it like in particular. But there was two things that just caught me. I mean, not by surprise, but just like, there it is, proof in the pudding, another fabulous example of what I was talking about the other day. I was telling you how, they just miss the point all the time. There's obvious people who they should hire. There's obvious things that they could do, and they don't do it. And it's literally just like, what are you fucking doing? The obvious answer is here. And the first one that I want to talk about is Marvel hiring the wrong producer for Daredevil Born Again. Okay? The initial Netflix series, Daredevil, is considered to be one of the greatest things that Marvel has ever produced, and it was not produced by Marvel Studios. It was produced by the Marvel TV division that was separate, from everything. And it is considered to be the greatest thing Marvel has ever done. And these people are available. You could hire them. The people that produced the original show, I think I left up a thing here that had it. You had Drew Goddard, Jeff Loeb, Eric Olson, Jim Chory. Jeff Loeb's a great comic book writer. And also Stephen S. DeKnight, right? These people, you could hire them tomorrow. Okay? And they have not hired them, not the first time. And now they had an opportunity. We were talking about, well, who are they going to hire? It'll show us if they mean business by who they hire. And who do they fucking hire? They hired the producers for the Netflix Daredevil series. And a whole bunch of directors and other stuff from Loki and some of the stuff on Disney Plus, which has not exactly been going over. I don't understand what you guys don't understand. It's so stupid. The Netflix Daredevil show is a darling. Jessica Jones was enjoyed very much so. It was a nice send up to Brian Michael Bendis' series. It was done pretty well. That was like a second place. Maybe tied. I wouldn't say tied. I didn't see all this stuff, but based on, like, people seem to like it, but there was definitely a lot less interest for the Marvel Netflix thing as time went on, because everything was not as good as Daredevil. Daredevil was really strong. Jessica Jones was really pretty strong too. Then Luke Cage was okay. Iron Fist was bad. The Defenders was pretty good, I guess. And then, I was starting to tune out by the end of some of this stuff myself, so I don't remember how much of the Punisher one that I saw. Barenthal was a great casting person, great to be cast for it, but I remember being not really thrilled by it, kind of watching it in the background one day to see if I wanted to watch it while I was doing some other stuff, and I just going like, there's fucking nothing going on, it's boring. That show, the critic score and the audience score on average for the 2 seasons of The Punisher on Netflix on Rotten Tomatoes, just as an example, the critics on average gave it a 65% for the 2 seasons. On average, the audience gave it a 78%. Okay, so under a B. Do you know what the Daredevil rating is for the 3 seasons of Daredevil? For 3 seasons of Daredevil, on average, it's 92% for the critics' score. Okay? 65% for Punisher for the critics, 92% for the freaking critics. 92%. Okay, so what is that? 75, 85, almost 25% more. On the critics side of things or whatever, I mean, and here in Punisher you've got the audience likes it better, so you got 78% from the audience and 89% from Daredevil, and and that's a little bit closer, was 11% away. Daredevil, though, the first season breaks down to 99%, 93% from the audience. So I mean, and the highest that Punisher ever got as an audience score is just underneath that, 88%. So I mean, yes, there was some things going right here on this Punisher show. Like if they could have also if they picked the Jessica Jones series, I'd be doing something similar, and and Daredevil would clearly be ahead. But Punisher, but Jessica Jones or Punisher are good. They're good. They're good ratings. I'm not dissing the freaking Punisher, but it's significantly better, Daredevil's ratings, and had 3 seasons, so longer shelf life. It was around when there was more people watching, so I know it had way better ratings and way better viewership. So an announcement like the Daredevil guy, you mean the Punisher producers, you mean the guys who produced like the last 2 seasons of anything that Netflix did before it ended, when people were starting to lose interest in it and blah blah blah. Okay, why didn't you just bring back the original producers for the Daredevil show? I mean, it's just insane. It's insane. I mean, it's so easy to see, so black and white like that. Okay, so on the other side, DC, there was just a minor thing. I think it was like a quote from the director or whatever. He was updating people on progress, but on the progress of the project, and he says it's still ongoing, but that DC's Keanu Reeves Constantine sequel is an Elseworlds. Okay. This is so brain dead on so many levels. I don't even understand. Okay. All right. So, you do an adaptation of Constantine, and you change it in a lot of significant ways that make it, different. But spiritually, you really honor it, and you do a really good job portraying the character of Constantine without his British accent, without the blonde hair, and without the brown trench coat. You give him the black hair and the black trench coat, and he's an American. And you change all those sort of aesthetic classic bits about the character, but you almost give some new, like the updating of the X-Men version of it, where okay, he's all in black now, and it actually does go over with the audience, especially over time. The audience says, we really like this, and it becomes a cult hit that gets rented a lot, and people cosplay as it and go as John Constantine for Halloween, and Keanu Reeves' number continues to rise so that he's become, something of a mythological figure. And now you've got Keanu Reeves as Constantine, people clamoring for a sequel. You smartly go, we're going to do another one. You bring in the freaking master of cool, creepy horror, grotesque body horror, what's his name? Guardians of the Galaxy guy, James Gunn, to head up your DC universe, and you're doing a Constantine sequel, and you could do some great hellish something cool produced by him, and like that takes place in the DC universe, that introduces the DC universe as Constantine, who's already been introduced, reintroduces him though to the universe, whatever it's going to be, and begin to set up a dark Justice League, the Justice League Dark, the magical side of things, or a Shadow Pact, and introduce some of these awesome characters associated with that side of the DC universe, like Detective Chimp, who's a really great character, or any of the other characters that show up in the Justice League Dark or Shadow Pact book. Great comics that I would recommend a trade paperback on any of those. I don't want to talk about them too much at a turn. I remember enjoying them very much, but the details of them I don't remember quite so well. They're not the AAA list for me, but they're definitely great B+ awesome series that had some great characters that I really enjoyed, that would be worthy of turning into a good film. There's so much stuff to do in that side of the world. So instead, you're going to put out Keanu Reeves as an Elseworlds sequel. So there's going to be a Constantine Elseworlds sequel where he looks like the Thing and he's Keanu Reeves. And then you expect to either what? Not introduce a Constantine into the DC universe because you don't want to cause confusion, or you do introduce a comics accurate Constantine into the universe and cause like some mainline confusion amongst the people who are watching the thing. I mean, I know you think that like, oh, people know this stuff. Like, everybody's very compartmentalized. People get into TV shows, they'll get into comics, they like whatever it is, but like they kind of tend to focus in their things. You know, if you don't like watches and a watch commercial comes on, you don't even notice that it was there. If you do, you know, you're like, oh, watches. You know, if you're a guy like me and you walk through a Target, you're like, there's a toy section in this store, because I care about that stuff. Like, and you know, but there are things that ring our bells and there are things that don't ring our bells. And the idea that you wouldn't carry the success of the Constantine that you already have introduced successfully, when you've not been freaking having these exactly accurate looking portrayals of these characters, but oh yeah, Constantine is portrayed pretty damn accurate as a character in the book. I really think Keanu did a really good job. I seem to remember him saying some things that I really liked about checking out the comics and trying to, like, you know, get at the heart of the character, and I think he did. I thought it was, you know, I'm always disappointed when the Thing doesn't really look like the Thing I like, but I remember coming away with going like, well, this is a cool alternative take on the Thing, and Keanu Reeves did a good job with the character. You know, it's really just tone deaf because Constantine's a great character for them. They've been able to exploit him in a few different capacities, television and film. Now, clearly, they've shown that he's a character that people like. He really is like a wonderful modern day character because he's such a fucking pessimist and jackass. But people like that, and it's Keanu Reeves. You've got a movie star for your DC universe. I mean, like, I really don't understand. I just want to like go into the office and smack all these people in the face. It's so stupid. I really think. Well, I'll make a metaphor for it. I'm in the music business, right? I've always stayed kind of independent because I'm like, I don't like the industry as a whole. I don't really trust it at all, and I don't follow the rules. I'm a maverick, motherfuckers. I do what I want. I don't like to do what other people say. And generally speaking, when I've gotten like close into the music stuff, they always want to like make me into like some sort of Bon Jovi or something. And they try to make it about how I look, and they're like, "Oh, you're handsome, so let's try to make you this thing." And I don't like that. You know, I make music because I have something to say. I write comic books, and you know, I'm a writer because I like to communicate. That's why I do the podcast. I like to communicate with people and talk about things, and you know, it just doesn't appeal to me. What happens is, like, over time, musicians, they become like general contractors or something. Like, it becomes work, and it starts to be about how much they're getting paid. You know, I don't show up if this, I don't do anything for free. Because it's a difficult business, and often, like, we get taken advantage of in so many different ways. So people have to get really practical about being musicians. Like, we're like, well, man, if we're going to keep doing this and we're going to feed our families and whatever, like, we got to be practical. But when you start to get practical about the thing, you lose the joy. You lose all of the doing it for the right reasons and doing it in ways that makes you happy, and getting that magic of creating things that like really just comes together and is awesome. And worse than that, you become like a zombie. You can't see that you're stuck in the thing. And I think everybody in Hollywood, for the most part, is stuck in the thing. And I mean, you know, people say like, you know, you got your head up your ass. I mean, that's it. Hollywood has their head up their ass. They're stuck in the thing. They can't look at it objectively enough because their egos are so tied into it all. I mean, think about somebody like James Gunn. You know, if we wanted to say, hey, let's say James Gunn has an ego, and he probably does because most people do, even if their ego is just them going like, you know, because for years I thought I didn't have an ego kind of thing, because I would be like, what are you talking about? Like, my feelings are just hurt. If your feelings are just hurt and your feelings are hurt all the time, that means you have an ego. You're having an ego reaction to being hurt. You know, like if you didn't, it's a great quote by Mike Tyson. He said, sometimes when I think I'm somebody, I get insulted and I get hurt and I get really sad and mad and angry about things that are like said about me and stuff. But then when I remember that I'm nobody, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And there's so much wisdom, and I'll try to unpack it a little bit there. But like, it's you thinking that you deserve so much better and seeing people's behavior as an affront to you and whatnot. That is the thing that, you know, kind of gets in the way of us being able to put down our arms ourselves. And it's easier said than done. You know, I remember in high school, I heard for the first time, "Turn the other cheek." And I was like, Jesus said that? And I had been kind of taught like an eye for two eyes. You know, it's like, they take your eye, you can take two of their eyes. Like, you know, make sure they never do it again. And, you know, in some instances, I kind of believe in that. Like, there's like an instance, you know, like if you're attacked out of nowhere in a bar, you know, it's definitely the type of thing where you pop them in the face real quick twice if you can, to maybe make him think, maybe not. Let's not do this. You know, I think that is an appropriate sort of response, like, you know, an even bigger response the other way really quick to offset the energy. But long term, I don't think, you know, I don't really think that's the thing, especially when it comes to the softer versions of attack. When people are saying things to you on the internet, when people are saying things to you in real life, you know, do you have to even respond? I mean, like, you know, so often it's like easy enough to just ignore somebody and just move on with your life. You know, do we have to feel upset about those things? Can we be so egoless as to recognize that there are just freaking crazy people in the world going around disrespecting everybody? And a lot of people are disrespecting people not because they think they're disrespecting people, because they just don't really know how to respect people, period. You know? And we can't do anything to control those people, really. You know? It's free will. You know, I like to always think of it as like, when I get the respect and I get the love and kindness from people, I'm just like, that's amazing. I really appreciate this. But I don't expect it. You know, and I appreciate it more because I don't expect it. So when I get it, I'm like, oh, wow, this is so nice. You know, I so rarely get this, but I really appreciate it when I do. And those are the people that, you know, you make your friends and you make your world go around, because, you know, they are living a little bit more appropriately, and you can have a better exchange of positive energy with people, because that's what relationships and friendships are supposed to be, an exchange of positive energy. If you're having a lot of exchanges of negative energy between each other, you know, that's not what you want. It's not what you want. So, you know, I think these people in these situations, they are compromised. You know, James Gunn is responsible for a huge franchise over at Marvel, the Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of trust was put into him to produce and look over some of the Guardian scenes and give some influence to some of the things that were going on. He was flirted with and having a job over there. He got a little bit insulted and he almost got canceled. Then he came back and did something after DC hired him, and then DC wanted to hire him for this big position. Now he's in this big position where he's controlling the ship at DC. Granted, he's got people above him that he has to please and all these different things. Like, I'm telling you, people get lost in these jobs. There's so much going on. And, like, you know, because I've been less successful, I went through a period of time where I, like, you know, sort of like, I had like a midlife crisis kind of thing. And early, you know, not even midlife, but like way early, because I had really hurt my body and ran myself into the ground, exhausted myself, done things in a number of different ways that really hindered me, despite, you know, my ability to do what I do, but really actually had a lot of success, but I couldn't see it as success because of the crazy things that I was hoping to achieve. Like, I was reaching for the stars. So instead of seeing all of this success that I had as like steps forward, I saw it as like, all of this and for nothing, you know, kind of thing. Like all of this and all I have is these scraps. Meanwhile, you know, years later, I would have people, you know, say different things to me that would make me realize that I had achieved every dream I'd ever set out to achieve. I'd been a success in every field I'd ever entered into, not necessarily as successful as I'd like to have been, but I wanted to be a comic book writer who was writing 3 or 4 different titles a month for Marvel or DC, and eventually, people were praying for me to go over to DC, and then I'd go over to DC, and then I'd write some great epics over there, and then I'd come back and I'd do my celebrity tour for Marvel again, and then I'd go off and I'd do some independent things as an old man, and it's funny because I'm all focused on independent ideas now, and everything that I do is a completely independent thing as opposed to a lot of pitches for other people. But for years, that was it. That was all I wanted to do because I wanted to go and do a wonderful job in that space and kick ass and take names and do it. But I was able to write a series or 2 a year consistently. I would have one thing, and then I would get the next thing, and then I would get the next thing, and I would get the next thing. And I was always hustling just to basically work on one job. And I was always trying to turn each job into more work, but I was kind of impatient. And you know what? Honestly, if you saw how long I would wait in these instances, because I really wanted this stuff, you would see that I wasn't really impatient by the standards of a normal person. I mean, it would be years often before I'd go, damn it, I'm not getting any extra, mileage at Marvel with the people that I know there. It's like every single time I have something that's almost there, like I had a Blade project that took a year to almost come together. The Blade project was the thing that actually broke me. I was working with different editors at Marvel for many years, and this Blade project that I put together for them was really good, and I put a long time into it. And I wrote the first issue script, and I wrote a really great treatment for how to integrate him into the Marvel universe, bringing in the elements of the film that were so great in great ways. And they loved it. I remember I had so many positive things about it, that. It was one of the best pitches that Marvel had ever gotten, or some bullshit. It just seemed like bullshit. A year later, when I was told, "I'm so sorry," we brought this to the summit, the creative summit, and we were told that Blade is already promised to the X-Men office, and they're going to be relaunching X-Men with Blade in it. And I thought those books were just fucking awful, by the way. If you read any of that stuff, it's just it's just talking about putting Blade where he didn't belong. It was like reintroducing Blade through the X-Men, which was just such a freaking weird pitch in the first place. And I had such a great pitch for them. I really think I could have made Blade the new Punisher for them, and helped them get something going. And a number of different editors at Marvel knew about this damn pitch for a freaking year. It was less than a year, but it was somewhere between 10 and 8 months, I think. But that one, after that one, I was just it's like nobody's watching out for me there. And then I went to DC, and DC, I lasted even longer at DC, perpetually trying to get something going. And it was DC to Vertigo, and then back to frickin' DC. And a lot of times editors that I knew were being fired or let go or shuffled around. There was just so many different excuses for why things didn't work out. And then you look at this situation, just when you're in it, and you're just you're feeling so it's too much. You can't even really look at it because you can't catch your breath. And I think eventually, because of that, because I came to this real crash and burn place where I was just fed up, and my body started to hurt, and I had 2 fires, and I just had to look at my life. And I ended up going to Peru and doing ayahuasca, and really going on a huge spiritual journey to kind of wake myself up and rebuild myself and get myself to the place that I am now, where I'm getting to, kickstart all these books on Kickstarter and do my podcast and interact with you guys and, build this platform and so many other things. I couldn't have done it yesterday because I was too in it, and my perspective was really lost. And when you lose perspective as a creative person, that's everything. Perspective is all you have. just in communicating stories and seeing the big picture and what are we doing. And like the reason why Kevin Feige is supposed to be such a big deal is because he was supposed to be the guy who was overseeing the stories. Clearly that was not the case, because as soon as he took over the thing, it has been shambles since. He's not good at that in particular. And me, somebody who is good at that, I watch this shit and I go, oh my God, like they have no idea what they just did with that one little piece of dialogue. Like that's a really big deal, this little change that they made here, or that's a big deal, this little change they made here. There's just so many of these things in the comics, in this collective universe. They're all built on top of each other, and they work best when done approximately the same as they're done in the comics. You can change up how they look a little bit superficially, and you can make some superficial adjustments to the way their life unfolds. But generally speaking, you want their motivations to be the same, and the character dynamics with the other characters that they interact with to be the same. That's the big one. And the character dynamics in the comics, the reason why you can't really change them so much, it's just like they all work together and separately. So Spider-Man works with all of his supporting characters, and then when he goes and joins the Avengers, there's other characters that work against him in good ways, similarly to how his supporting characters in his books. When you build these books and you build these things, you're always just building them to support the main idea. The main idea is Spider-Man, and we want him to have some wonderful, cute little nerd girl who's smart like him, but like this beautiful little gift from the nerd gods, and that's Gwen Stacy. And what would be cool too, because Peter deserves it and he really has a rough life, it'd be great if we gave him this just wonderful supermodel who just like pulls him out of being a nerd and helps him be able to relax and have fun and be a little bit less that Parker luck and a little bit more hitting the jackpot, and that'll be Mary Jane. That's why Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy are such great counters to Peter Parker. You understand? And you could continue doing that. You could make some more wonderful girlfriends from Peter Parker, trying to again build off of the foundations of who he is. And sometimes they do in some ways. Somebody like I think it's Betty Brant is the assistant to J. Jonah Jameson at the thing. She's the receptionist at J. Jonah Jameson's office. He's always getting treated really nasty over there. She's really nice to him. These are these are the things that you reward a character with, that your audience is rooting for because he works really hard to get what he wants and do the right thing. And that's Spider-Man. It's so easy to create these dynamics in various situations, but they've already been created in comics very richly. And once you change one, the characters don't work as well anymore. Mary Jane doesn't work as well in the show. Like, they shouldn't have done Mary Jane. They should have done Gwen Stacy. The Mary Jane that they have in the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, she's not, you've hit the jackpot Mary Jane. She's like melodramatic. She's like a drama nerd. She's Gwen Stacy. And she's more of what you might imagine Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy might have been, except she doesn't look like Gwen Stacy. She's just this weird amalgam. The Gwen Stacy that you get in the Amazing Spider-Man movies is very much Gwen Stacy. The MJ that you get in the Spider-Man, we have yet to see MJ, the beautiful supermodel who is just this surprise to Peter that he was avoiding. We've yet to see that come in. That's a great dynamic. And when you change the dynamic and you make Mary Jane into an amalgam of Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane in the Sam Raimi movies, Mary Jane is the worst part of those movies, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, really, just her character is just in the she's the character who does the fun things like Mary Jane, who's like the supermodel and an actress or whatever, but she's even not supposed, she's not supposed to be a good actress, but like in a funny way, because she's so beautiful. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, you don't have to be an actress too. You don't have to have the world. Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane, she's a more normal, girl next door kind of girl, like Gwen Stacy was supposed to be, and that's perfectly fine. It's just sort of different, like character dynamics and what they represent, and personality and form and all this stuff together. And if you change the one thing, it changes so many things. So if you change Superman to be more like Batman, the Justice League doesn't play the same way anymore. You need Superman to be the light. You need Batman to be the dark. You need Batman to not be too dark because it's the Justice League. And, you don't want Barry Allen on the Justice League. You want Wally West on the Justice League. When Barry Allen gets brought back and he's on the Justice League doesn't work anymore. Because now you got 2 detectives and 2 guys with Superman's attitude, and it's just redundancies. When you got Wally West there, you got this overachiever who's trying to live up to Barry's thing, and it's a whole different dynamic that's playing up. He is an underling to Batman and Superman. They have been there longer. He has that respect. He wants to honor them. That makes for an interesting character. Hal Jordan equally isn't really the best on the Justice League. Jon Stewart is, because he's got that similar thing. He is second, he came after Hal Jordan, so he's a little bit of a late addition. Batman and Superman are elder statesmen than he is. He's a military guy, so he falls into that order, and he gives them respect. Also, Kyle Rayner is a good person in there as well. He looks up to them in a boyish sort of way. He's got this power and this thing. He doesn't really feel like he's ready for the Justice League, but he is a Green Lantern, and so he has to follow into these footsteps in an interesting way. Those character dynamics are interesting. You change one little bit of any of it, and then you have to change everything. Like it doesn't play. It's like dominoes. When you change one, you either have to change the others, or it breaks the system if the others don't go down, because the character relationships no longer work. They don't build off of one another the way that they did, the way that they should. So I mean, it's really just it's such a important thing to adhere to the source material when it comes to fundamentals. And, I understand the need to change any number of things. But there are fundamental aspects to these stories that are iconic and important and have stuck with the audience and stood the test of time, and our interest in seeing them brought to life on television or on the big screen is based in being able to share these moments with other people. So if you don't include the moments that we loved, you're not doing anything for anybody. You're not doing anything for anybody. Fundamentally, you're supposed to be buying a property, intellectual property, or producing a film or TV based on this thing that you see there is an audience for. And by audience, let's define that, means if we were to take these things in here and put these things in here in this book or this cartoon or whatever it might be, and put it up here on the big screen and bring this thing that you like to life, you would want to come see it? Yes, I sure would. Nobody pitches us, hey, if I interpret this in my own way and change all the things that I don't like and just do it whatever way I can, would you want to come see that? The answer wouldn't be yes. The answer would be maybe. I mean, maybe I'd like to see it. I don't know. Show me the trailer, bro. It's not automatic. We're not just going to see your thing because you made it. I mean, and that's the tough thing. It's really funny, when it comes to writers. I wanted to talk about this. Like, it is a little difficult. I mean, it's not difficult. It's more difficult to judge a writer than it is to judge a artist or a filmmaker who's made something. Here's a film I made. Here's the thing I made, and I did this in that job. Here's a script I wrote. Requires a person to read the script, and getting scripts read before you're actually published is really tough. It's pretty easy to go and pitch people for things when you've been published for other things, because people, they don't feel like they have to necessarily read your work if they know that you've been published for Marvel or published it at a couple big companies or whatever. And they'll just go, okay, cool, can you pitch us on this? And so then they'll read your pitch on their thing that they're looking for. So it's pretty easy to get work at that point, and then people end up reading your scripts and reading your things, and then you can get more work in the future. My greatest thing is just, I was saying the business is so volatile. The comics business is so volatile. The film business is so volatile. People are always just shuffling in and out of their positions. And people leave the industry all the time because they get fed up with the industry. And it's like so many of the editors and people who mattered to you for getting work or whatever yesterday, they're just not the same people today. And, but the one group that does remain are the artists. And I have such a wonderful working relationship with all my artists. And it's like everybody that I've worked with before, I basically have like lined up over time, over the next bunch of years and stuff. And some people I have to wait for them, but to do Kickstarters with them and do independent books with them and be able to continue our working relationship. So I mean, like, in that way, it does get to continue. And, because in comics, you can do an independent project. In film, though, it's harder than that. You're relying on these industries. You're so, like, it's really just, this is why I avoided it so much. It's like, there's just so many egos and so many people, like, just pissing contests. The music industry's like that, too, is why I avoided the damn, upper echelons of the music business. I watched, like, one of my best friends, one of the best songwriters I know, and had one of the best freaking prospect artists was his girlfriend that you've ever seen. And I don't want to name him or her. You've probably even heard some of her stuff and seen her. She's just gorgeous, sings incredible. She's a great actress too. She's really freaking talented. She's a bit of a crazy person, but she was so ready for freaking prime time, and he made the most amazing records. He produced like 3 records back to back with the most incredible songs, and then I would hear the songs, and I was like, oh my god, they're amazing. And then I would hear the remixes, not the remixes, but like after they got notes from the label, and the label ruined everything. They reproduced these 3 incredible albums into oblivion. It was insane. It was insane. It was the most incredible shit, and they just the labels ruined the stuff. And I realized afterwards, from reading between the lines and talking to different people, that he literally was sabotaged by the people he was working with, who knew that if he succeeded, he would have become one of the biggest music executives in Hollywood. So these big music executives who were working on the thing, they literally shot the project in the foot to prevent him from outranking them in the business if he had success. Because this was one of the biggest record deals that had ever been given to anybody at the time. Nobody was getting record deals. But because this girl was so beautiful, because the music was so good, because the team behind it was so incredible, they got this insane deal. A deal that nobody gets. I mean, really, like, just nobody was getting deals like this. And if they had blown up and been a success, he would have been the next big thing. He would have been that, what's some of the guys who you hear about who produced Jay-Z's album? What's the guy that I'm thinking of? Rick Rude, Rick Wake, Rick Wooga. I don't know. I can't remember people's names. I didn't write it down. I don't know. I guess I'm done for today. Yeah, but things are insane. Things are really nuts. Like I said, I think maybe this week I'm gonna make like a list of like geek-ageddon. It's just, the sky is falling. It's so fucking crazy, but it's great, for creative people like me, because I'm like, there's like a hole in the geek culture. I'm like, let's go fill it with great shit. This is when great stuff is invented. When all the stuff that's being made is just falling short of our expectations. Anyway, that's it, Coolest Geeks. I am your passionate geek culture commentator, Jesse Blaze Snider. You can write to me at jesseblaze@jessesnider.com. I love you all so much, and I look forward to hearing from you. Anyway, thank you for listening to my show. And I hope you join me again next Saturday, and this coming Wednesday for another ass-kicking episode of the Coolest Geek Alive! Love you.
It's my favorite part. Isn't that heavy? I played that. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout.
You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living the shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's going to be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.